This is Chris Wiley with Wiley Development Group and Tasty Equity. Welcome to the highlight reels from our monthly webinar series. Deciding what beers, wines, cocktails, or ciders to feature in your self-pour wall is a bit of science, a little bit of art, and a lot of magic. In this segment, we'll tell you all about the science and share what we can about the magic.
Okay, so there's four key demographics that we've learned. The first one is a female demographic, and she's made up into two subsections. So the female is very, very critical because they want to participate in this. And we've learned that the 40 plus female demographic, they could become a veto vote on where the family goes or where the date night goes for that matter. We've also learned that she's not very price sensitive, where she's very interested in drinking wines. And we find that she prefers white wine, red wine, and cider. So our data has shown us that this demographic, you need to have a Chardonnay, a Pinot Gris, Sauvignon Blanc. As far as your red wines, you definitely need some Cabs, some Pinots. We're finding that the female 40 plus, they love rosé. Their big saying is rosé all day. So you have to have a rosé on there. And
so what I'm seeing there, Darren, is that's 6 taps. That's 6 taps.
Yeah,
if you're talking about how many taps to do.
So here, when we get in, so we're going to go through the 4 demographics, and then we're going to go into the strategy and how that lays out on a wall, because it's really important to how many taps do I choose? It's not just about how much revenue do I want to take advantage of. The same thing is who am I serving, and what products am I going to have on that wall to ensure that I have a pricing, a product, and a place strategy. So as you get into your female millennial, of course, she's, that 28 to 37-year-old female or 35-year-old female, she too is critical. And she's usually traveling with her millennial male friends. We find that she likes sweeter products. She's a little bit price adverse, but not much. And they like unique flavors. So we find that she prefers ciders, sours like crazy. Gotta have these sours. This millennial female loves sours, lambics, and barrel aged, the sweeter beers. So then going into our next, is that our next one? No, you want to go?
Yeah, bumped it. Sorry about that.
The next one we've named our Loyalist, and he's drinking his dad's beer, and he's the guy that you walk into a craft beer joint, and he's the guy who says, I'll take a Michelob Ultra, or I'll take, a Bud Light. Believe it or not, he's a really critical piece to your business. He values quantity over quality. He travels with other like-minded loyalists. What I think about is, the softball team, the bowling group. They join their other fathers after their boys' ball game. They're used to drinking pitchers, and those guys like
right.
domestic. Bud Light, Coors Light, Miller Light. But then if you go into, because they do explore, we do find that they do explore, and they explore into the blondes, the lagers, the pilsners that don't fall too far outside of the Bud Lights and the Coors Lights. Going back to one of our reports that we did the end of September took us over a year period of time of data. We poured over 48 million ounces through our technology. And I kind of joke about this because we love the craft beer industry, but we found that the number 1 and number 2 on the wall across the country was Bud Light and Coors Light. So in this fast casual market, especially in pizza, as much as maybe we don't like it, from a craft beer perspective, your customers want it. Yeah.
Darren, I got a question.
Yes.
Do you find we have Bud Light on right now in Bowling Green? So are you finding they have Bud Light and Coors Light, or is it depending on market where they have Bud Light for Coors Light?
It really depends. I mean, we have a location in South Dakota who has 5 domestics on, and It's interesting because he has 5 domestics on because he is literally 3 blocks away from a tournament softball field. And guess what? Mm-hmm. Those guys are hungry after the game, and they want the Ultras, they want the Bud Lights, the Coors Lights, the Miller Lights. that's just the way these guys roll.
Do they use a pitcher in that shop?
I don't know if they do or not, but there are a few who do, in the pizza market that do still pour a few pitchers.
Now, we didn't know about Bud Light. Frankly, I think we were in denial. I think Darren probably told us. But Pete and I are craft beer dudes, and we just didn't want to have anything to do with beer that you can see through. Well, we started getting comments, and social media does that. And my son, who operates our stores, was passionate that we needed domestic beer. We finally caved in when in January, Darren was doing an annual review and said, holy cow, guys, roughly 50% of all beer poured through iPour's platforms is Bud Light. And right behind that, I think, is Michelob Light or something, or Ultra. I'll let him fill it in. We put Bud Light on our taps about 8 or 10 weeks ago. It quickly soared to 50% of our sales. And now we're buying half barrels of it, which make it a lot cheaper. And so we got a nice low price point on the wall. There's a couple things that you need to know, and we didn't know this going in. We planned this project for 6 months to a year. We really didn't understand the impact of wine. As we got deep into it and we got it operational, we got excited, we went to the next level and we went out and we started interviewing other operators in Darren's clientele in the iPort community. And what we found is that if you had wine, your dollar per ticket soared again. If you had wine, you attracted the female audience, which Darren's going to go into in some detail. And a big surprise, which Darren did warn us about, is that craft ciders are very popular. They literally can outsell your craft beer depending on your mix. I think Pete would say one of the big problems with ciders is they're really hard to get, right? There's very limited availability.
Yeah, that was my number one question to the distributor every week is what ciders do you have on tap? Available.
So, yep, and he's got our distributors we're going to talk about in a minute trained to call us and only tell us about what's new. Remember I said we quickly learned in the first 2 months if you sold through a keg and you put it back on again because you think it's popular, they won't drink it the next time. They want the new stuff. Darren's going to talk about, what do you call that guy in the tapestry? The explorer?
The
guy who wants the rotators?
Partner. Yep.
We're going to talk about that guy. Now,
this is the key one. He's really important. And the reason I say he is because the data actually tells us he's a he. He's who we've named the explorer. And, he may visit this location more than once per week. He may be with his buddies on Monday night, and then he'll come back with his crew, with his wife or his girlfriend, and bring his other friends in. So he may come into your location a couple of times per week. He enjoys the tasting experience. He's very craft focused. He eats out 5 nights per week. And what we find with him is he goes to the wall and wants to pour premium, rare, not products that he normally sees on a regular basis. Across all of our locations, he pours 4.7 ounces per pour, and he visits the beer wall 5.5 times. And he essentially pours and spends about $14.15, 25 cents per visit. So what do we do for him? We want to make sure that there are rare products on, premium products, limited releases. We want to make sure that he is getting rotators. So when he is in on Monday night, there are 5 to 6, maybe even 10, depending on the size of your location, that are different products from the night he visits or Friday night when he visits. So he's a key money maker in a business.
The last couple, we do not currently have coffee or cold pressed coffee. We tried it in other operators. It's awesome. In Ohio, you're required to sell coffee if you sell alcohol. So I think it's a great use of a tap if you have a lot of taps. Kombucha is a great alternative if you're out drinking for the night and you don't want that much more alcohol. It appeals to the wine and the cider and, frankly, the health nut millennial audience. And we did see craft sodas, but we're not doing those too. We are deploying mixed drink cocktails. We plan to in our new stores. We saw those on the road. Again, the reason I'm trying to throw this out at you is that if you're contemplating this space, you want to know what we didn't know. Cocktails are available, whether you're doing margaritas or malt-based, or we had Tito's and soda and one in Chicago the other day. So it's a whole new ball game. You're going to learn a lot more about it today. Let's talk about inventory management. So again, just recapping, we talked about the issues to get to time to pour. And as you work on that, the next challenge is design and planning and how it works and mixing and managing your inventory. But Pete manages all this real time. Pete, could you just talk a little bit about how you've got this set up so you can do it remotely from Dayton across multiple stores, and and what really has to happen in the store versus what you can do centrally?
Yeah, I currently manage all the ordering, which is great with the reps. Simply have the reps call, text, or email each week. The ones that do get my business more often than the ones that don't. So that's been great. Again, they give me a list of everything that's new. They don't tell me what I've ordered typically. They say, this is exactly what we got. I know what you're looking for now after 6 months. And typically we order 1 to 2 beers. So I can manage all of, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
So manage the ordering. We use FinTech, which is available nationwide for billing. Makes it super simple in the stores, and we get all the invoices. I can look at all the invoices online. I don't have to wait for the store to get it to me or hope they enter the right amount. Right now, we currently use a spreadsheet to manage between our beer wall hosts, so the guy in the store or lady in the store managing the beer wall, and myself to determine the prices, what's coming up next, what's queued up, and where we should be making changes based on what's selling and what's not selling. And then I can just check into each location remotely, and some of the pictures you see right there are charts pulled right from iPorit. Those aren't made up or processed by us. It's a live service by their server. So you can actually do a lot remotely. I mean, I'll be managing 3 or 4 locations here soon remotely, and just relying on somebody basically to change the kegs.
Again, check us out on the Wiley Development Group Facebook and or Wiley Development Group YouTube channel. You can watch recordings of these events.